Hey everyone, back at Farmer Pat here. Today is a very exciting video for me. We're in the kitchen again, and today we're going to be making split pea soup, and we're going to be using some leftover ham from Thanksgiving. This dish can be done not only after Thanksgiving or Christmas, but it can be done any time of the year using either ham or ham hocks, or you can even go meatless. So guys, this is a very quick video, but I just wanted to show you what I'm doing with my after Thanksgiving leftovers. So let's get started. So I'm flying solo today. So first let's talk about the ingredients, and then I'll put the camera down and get started. So I have a couple organic carrots. I've already diced one up here. I'm gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna dice the second one up in a minute. I have 4 cloves of garlic that I'm gonna mash. I have a couple pieces of organic celery. I have I would say a medium-sized onion. And for the first time, I'm going to be using a pimento leaf. This is from my garden, and guys, it smells amazing. This is the same thing as allspice. You know, when you have those allspice berries. This is the tree. The leaves have an amazing aroma. I'm going to put a leaf in there. And then I have a couple. This is my broadleaf thyme or Cuban oregano or French thyme that I have in my garden and in my Etsy shop. Using a couple leaves here. And I'm throwing in an extra twist. I'm going to use, this is a culantro leaf from my garden. So culantro, I would say, is a Caribbean version of cilantro. It's a very strong cilantro flavor. I'm only going to probably use maybe half of the leaf diced up just to enhance the flavor, but not to overpower. So we're going to put some culantro in here for the very first time. And of course, the star of the show is the leftover ham. So as you guys can see, I've been going through, I've been cutting up the ham, getting off as much meat as possible. I've diced up my meat, so it's not too small, but you know, so you get small chunks with every mouthful. So I have my meat diced up. Plus there's a lot more on here that I'm gonna take off, and you'll see, especially after I boil, I'm gonna take a lot more off. Then of course, the main star, the main character is our split peas. Here I'm using the green split peas, but you can use the yellow split peas. In Jamaica especially, we have mainly the yellow one that we use. But this is the green split pea. You can also use this exact same recipe for lentils if you want to make lentil soup, you know, whatever you have available. This is 100% optional. I usually don't use broth. I usually just use water and add seasonings and flavors come out. But I know a lot of recipes online talk about chicken broth. They use chicken broth. So I happen to have one in my cabinet, in my pantry. So I'm going to go ahead and use some chicken broth and a couple of Irish potatoes, which is also optional. Phone decided to chip out at this point, but I'm going to be able to walk you through what I did. So first, what I did was we chopped up our carrot. And we're gonna pound, I'm gonna be pounding my garlic. You can also just dice it up if you want, but I find by pounding the garlic first before I dice it up, it kind of releases more of the flavor and intensifies the flavor. So I do like to pound my garlic, and I sometimes pound my herbs. So here, right after pounding it, I'm dicing it up. After dicing it up, I just like to go over it once more to make sure it's really finely diced up, because I like when the garlic cooks out completely into the soup. And here's what it looks like. Completely diced up. So now I'm gonna do the same thing to my onion. I'm gonna dice it up. An easy way to dice your onion is to slice it up in one direction, then turn it sideways and slice it in the opposite direction, like I'm doing here. Slice it in the opposite direction, and that causes it to be diced up really small. That's the easiest way. Now I'm gonna dice up my carrot really small. Again, I do like my carrots small, so I'm gonna dice up my carrots really small, and now I'm gonna dice up a couple pieces of my celery. I don't like an overwhelming taste of celery, so I'm just using a few small pieces of celery, smallly diced up, so that way, you know, it doesn't overpower the soup and I don't bite on chunks of celery. So I'm gonna do the same that I did with the carrots and the onions. I'm gonna dice my celery up really small. And here's what it looks like. Everything is nicely diced up. Now let's move on to the potatoes and do the same. I don't remove the skin on the red potatoes. Red skin potatoes are my favorite Irish potatoes. I don't remove the skin, I just cut right through it. The skin just melts away. You don't taste the skin in the soup. Plus, of course, there's lots of vitamins in the skin, so I always keep the skin. I just cut off any black pieces or any bad pieces that are on the surface. Now moving on to the herbs. All my veggies are cut up. Now I'm gonna cut up my herbs. So the first herb is my broadleaf thyme. Just cut off the end, and then I'm gonna dice this up really small, because I don't want to, with split pea soup, you just want to be eating the peas and the vegetables. You don't want to be, I don't like to be biting on chunks of herbs. So I'm going to dice this up really small so that the flavor is incorporated throughout the soup without actually biting down on the actual pieces of thyme. So as I'm dicing this up really, really small. I brought this extra piece of thyme in from the garden. What I'll do is, I don't think I'm gonna need any more. What I'll do is just set this aside and stick it on my windowsill so I can have it whenever I need it. Moving on is my cilantro. Next is my cilantro. Cilantro is very similar to what you call cilantro or what we call cilantro in America, but it's a very, very strong cilantro. I think it's even a stronger flavor than normal cilantro. So this, I'm just using a little bit. At first I was gonna put in only half a piece, but since I'm making it on a pretty big pot, I'm gonna use one leaf, just one leaf only. And I'm also dicing this up really, really small. A great idea is at the end of cooking, if I, depending on how the flavor is, I can add some more cilantro towards the end to highlight the flavor. So guys, now this is my pimento leaf, and I tell you guys, this pimento leaf smells amazing, amazing. What I'm gonna do is put it in my pesto, and I'm gonna pound it up also to release even more flavor and more aroma. Just one leaf is all I need to flavor my entire pot. And guys, I tell you, that's one of my most prized trees that I have in my garden. In Jamaica, when we make our chicken jerk pork, the traditional way of making jerk is to use pimento wood, but pimento wood is really rare, so I know they use other kinds of wood now in Jamaica. Next, guys, we're gonna go ahead and clean our the split peas. I'm gonna wash it and clean it and let you see what I do. You can use any split pea that you find in the supermarket. I happen to buy this 3-pound bag in like a Spanish supermarket, so I got it real cheap, like $3 and change for 3 pounds. So I'm gonna use, for this recipe, I'm gonna use about a pound of split peas. A pound might not seem like a lot, but split peas really swells once it cooks, so it'll be good. The wonderful thing about split peas, or whether it's red or yellow, no, whether it's brown or green or yellow, or same as lentils, you don't have to soak them overnight. You can just cook them right away. They cook very, very easily. It's not like normal beans, like if you make kidney beans or black-eyed peas or whatever, or gungo peas, that you have to soak it overnight if it's dried. With the split peas, you can just wash it well, and cook it, and it cooks in just maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. So here I'm washing the peas properly. After washing it, I decided to add it to a bowl of water and just soak it well, because there was a lot of foam coming up off it, which normally happens whenever you wash peas or beans or any of that stuff. Like, it releases all this gas or foam. So I'm rinsing it well in water, because just to get rid of any little impurities, any little dirt, any bugs that you may find in these beans. Any kind of greens can have bugs, and it's a good thing that I washed it, because look at it, the water was still a little bit murky after I washed it. So I'm going to wash it a few more times just to make sure it's good and clean before I cook it. After washing it again, it's good and ready for cooking now. So let's move on to the next stage. Alright guys, now we're ready to start cooking. So what I'm gonna do with the ham is I'm gonna simmer the ham a bit in a little coconut oil, just to get rid of some of the excess fat. I don't want to be biting on chunks of fat when I'm eating my soup. So I kind of treat split pea soup differently from my other soups. My other soups, I never saute anything before. I just boil the meat and then get started. But with this, I'm gonna start off with sauteing my onions and garlic and my ham, my little chunks of ham, in a little coconut oil. You can also use olive oil if you have it, but since I want to add a little Jamaican flavor, a little Caribbean flavor to this, I'm gonna saute with coconut oil. And I'm only gonna use maybe like 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. Any more than a tablespoon, and then it could end up being greasy, and the last thing you want is greasy or oily split pea soup. So now that we have our onions and garlic in, we're gonna stir fry it up. Just saute it just for a few minutes, just to render the onions a bit, but not to make sure you don't fry them or burn them. So this is now on a medium stove, and I'm stir frying that. And now we're gonna add the ham so that we can cook down some of this ham. Cook it down, cook off any little fatty pieces off the ham. And this is gonna be the last step before we go ahead and add our liquid. All right. So next we're gonna add the bone. I'm not gonna really saute the bone. I'm just gonna add the bone in with the rest before we add the liquid in. As the bone cooks, a lot of that meat will fall off the bone. So get off what you can, dice up what you can, but don't get too worried about the bone, because the meat will fall off towards the end, and I'll let you see what it looks like at the end. All right, so after you finish sauteing it, then you go ahead and add your bone. Here you can see the fat that I trimmed off it. So I didn't put all these fatty pieces in there. There's a little piece of meat that I added to it, but all the rest that was fatty, I kind of scraped that off, cut that off before stir frying. That way there's minimal fat that I'm actually stir frying. So now we're gonna add our chicken stock or chicken broth. And as I said, this is an optional step. I use chicken broth because it's there, and I know a lot of recipes do they do use vegetable stock or chicken stock. So this is optional. I find that if I just added plain water and added all my herbs and cooked it down with the ham, that the natural flavor of the ham and the split peas and the herbs will, do the job. But chicken stock is fine if you have it. Next, once you added chicken stock, you go ahead and add your split peas. So there I've added all my pre-washed split peas that I washed earlier, and we're just gonna give the pot a good stir now. Make sure everything is mixed in well. You can see I added the bone also, and all that meat on the bone is gonna fall off. Don't worry, none of that is gonna go to waste. All right, so now we're just gonna I'm gonna add some herbs. Add the herbs that I cut up earlier, the culantro, the thyme, and don't forget that pimento leaf. That's gonna be the icing on the cake. So we're gonna add our herbs now, And we're gonna go ahead and put the pot cover on, and we're gonna check back in 45 minutes. Okay, so remember we're cooking with a ham hock, so it's really not necessary to add salt. It's really better to add salt at the end after you've tasted it. You can always add salt, you can't take salt out. So here I use probably maybe a teaspoon of salt. But as I said, that's optional. You can add it at the end. I also added black pepper, ground black pepper, and onion powder. Next, I'm just adding some water, plain water from the pipe, to add up to the liquid. All I had was one um, container of the chicken stock, so I added water to make up the rest of the liquid. So now that we have everything going, I'm gonna go ahead and cover the pot and let it cook. As you can see, I did not cover the ham hock completely with water, because if I add too much water, then the soup is gonna be watery. But the ham hock will cook down, so no need to worry. But guys, it's been just about an hour, and guys, this smells amazing. I just gave it a little taste, and the flavor is perfect. I don't think I need to add any more spices, even though I did reserve some spices to add at the end. So the peas are beginning to break down very nicely. It's an hour now. Peas look very soft. They're gonna break down some more, but I'm gonna add my potatoes, my carrots, and my celery now. So let me try do this with one hand. All right, just gonna slide it all in there. All right, and there we go. It's perfect. So now I'm gonna cook this probably another 30 to 40 minutes. I'm gonna be checking it every 15 minutes just to make sure it doesn't stick to the pot. All right, the timer just went off. Let's see what we've got. So I cooked it for another 40 minutes. Oh guys, this is like perfect. All right, let's give it a little taste and see. So all the small vegetables should be cooked. If you like your split pea thicker, as it cools off, it's gonna get a lot thicker. But I'm just gonna give it a little taste and see. Of course, you're gonna find the pimento leaf. You're gonna remove the pimento leaf. So let me do that first. And let's see what the soup tastes like. Oops, first let me turn off the stove. I'm just gonna leave it on the stove. It's gonna continue coming together. This is what it looks like, guys. This is what it looks like. If you like your split pea soup thicker, or as I said, just let it sit for a little bit until it comes together. But I cannot wait to taste this. Cannot wait to taste this. And you get your nice little piece of ham with every bite. So first, let's just taste it by itself. Try this by itself. Guys, the flavor is delicious. Just that one leaf of cilantro, you can taste the slight cilantro flavor. The thyme is perfect. Guys, the flavors are absolutely amazing. So it's been another hour, and I wanted to show you the difference an hour makes, and that's why I'm saying you have to be careful that you don't add too little water, because it gets thicker. So guys, look at it. This is the split pea texture that you're used to. This is just by letting it sit for another hour. It got this much thicker, guys. And guys, this is like what, maybe 45 minutes later. So all you have to do is just let it cool off. You remember how water it was before? But it still tasted delicious. But just know that with split peas or lentil or any of these kind of soups, it's really better to just let it sit. So let's see if the taste is the same. Absolutely delicious, guys. You cannot buy this split pea out of a can. Campbell's split peas might be nice, but guys, it cannot taste like this. Nothing beats homemade split pea soup. There's nothing I would change about this. Maybe the only thing I would tell you is just be careful with the salt. Be careful with the salt, because the ham does have salt in it. And as I told you, The bone, this is the bone. All just about most of the meat fell off the bone. There's a little bit of meat on there that me and the dogs will fight over that bone, but all the meat fell off into the soup. And as you can see, the soup has gone down. My boys have already attacked it, so this probably won't last the night. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this encouraged you to go out there to see how easy it is to make your own homemade, healthy split pea soup using just leftovers, leftover ham, and some herbs from my backyard and a few things from my refrigerator. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends who may want to make their own split pea soup. If you have a special herb or a special twist to your split pea soup, I would love to hear about it. So drop a comment below. Let me know what you would do differently or how you make your split pea soup. And if you try my recipe, please stop back by and let me know how you like it. I can tell you guys, this is absolutely delicious. And I want you guys to, be able to try this too. Anyway, enough of this. I'm going to get outside and do some more harvesting. Got some sugarcane harvest coming, so you guys keep a lookout for that for the next sugarcane harvest video. Till next time, guys. Bye now.